now called to order. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mrs. Healy, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Avanzato? Mr. Blasbog?
Here.
Mrs. Parkin?
Here.
Mr. Jones? Mrs. McGovern?
Here.
And student representatives?
Here.
Thank you. Thank you. Mrs. Healy, can you please recite the calendar?
On Thursday, November 24th and Friday, November 25th will be the Thanksgiving break. Schools and offices are closed. Monday, December 5th is the biannual organizational meeting.
Thank you. So I see that we do not have anyone signed up for citizens' comments, so Dr. Auger, do you have any presentations and recognitions?
Just a few recognitions, and then we'll get right into tonight's presentation. A lot of things have been happening from the school department. Last week, the night after the election, Congressman Langevin graciously came to North Kingstown School Department and was a keynote speaker for our STEAM event. It was very well attended. Mr. Blasbog was there with his son. And it was a really good night, and a lot of local people shared their talents with the school community, and it was a real nice event to see. At the high school this week, we had two senior athletes declare their schools, two tremendous athletes, Kiera Oliver and Megan McGuire. Kiera is softball at UMass, and Megan Fairfield University for field hockey. So that's getting to be a big thing now. You got to declare where you're going to go to your school. So, yeah. Pleased to report that also this was last Wednesday, big celebration over at Fishing Cove to celebrate. Their fourth graders were the highest performing on last year's or this current year's park exam. And we had Commissioner Wagner there to help us celebrate. Really very, very nice ceremony. And last night there was a CLAC meeting, and I know that has been an organization that's had some ups and downs, a lot of downs in the last few years. The last night's meeting had over 20 people at it, and it was an excellent meeting. And so they are doing well, and they're looking for ways to get the word out, so I wanted to kind of give them a shout out tonight. There are a number of parents in the community with kids with special needs, and they are looking for resources and for other people to talk to and just to learn from about how to help their kids as best they can. So it's a great organization for that. A lot of very knowledgeable people were at the meeting last night. So very happy about that. And I think I have covered. Last thing, just before I came here, I stopped by the Business After Hours, which the Chamber of Commerce puts on. And tonight they did it at the North Kingstown Food Pantry. And great event. A lot of people. There was fundraising that occurred for the Lynx organization, for the high school, for the food pantry. A lot of people celebrating all of that. And, it's just a reminder to me about all of the efforts that the school department participates in with the food pantry. And it always gets highlighted around Thanksgiving time, and it is amazing. I think they talked about just today there was like a shipment from it was Davisville Middle School, something like 350 cans of cranberry sauce. So each school takes on a particular part of the Thanksgiving dinner, and they help out that way. And when you put it all together, and I'm going to try to do that, I'm going to try to find out what that all comes to, put all together, and get some word out in the local papers about the partnership between the schools and the food pantry, because it's a very impressive one. So that's what I have right now. And tonight, Dr. Miansiri and Dr. Morse are going to talk to us. This is a goal for the school committee to be looking deeper into the ways that we personalize instruction at the high school. And by that, we mean that not every student needs to be taking that set of coursework in the same time span and in exactly the same set of walls that the high school has to offer, which may be kind of a traditional model. There are lots of ways to earn credit and lots of opportunities for college credit and other ways to experience your learning. So we are putting that all together and trying to expand it as much as we can. It's a big push for the governor as well right now. So without any further ado, I'm going to let Dr. Manseri get started.
Thank you. I think there's enough of us. I don't need the
You might want to
microphone.
invite just
Oh,
because
okay.
you're live.
Okay, yeah,
Live
for the
stream.
for the live audience.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So thank you, everybody,
Thousands of people out there.
Millions of viewers.
Yes.
for letting us talk and talk to you tonight. I know it's a rainy night, so I appreciate everybody being here. Dr. Morse and I have been working with Dr. Roget on some exciting areas at the school. We feel like we've been doing a little bit of personalization over the last few years on an individual basis. Families might come to us. There might be some kind of a scheduling, flaw, and we work with them to make sure that that particular student, that particular family is taken care of. What we haven't done is really announced it, put it in the program of studies, put it up online, and that's really the direction that we're going in. And we thought we'd share it with you to just kind of highlight what's going on. Just to ground us in the conversation, right now, in the 1900s, you had to go to the schoolhouse to get your knowledge. The teacher was in front of the classroom, students were sitting in front of the teacher, and that was really how the knowledge was transmitted from the teacher to the student. But now, in the 21st century, right now everybody has a choice. And they can go to a virtual, high school online, they can do homeschooling, they can go out to the colleges, as Dr. O'Shea said. And so, we need to really look at ourselves and find out if we're relevant. And with that, right now the state of Rhode Island, as well as a lot of people are doing it across the country, but the state of Rhode Island is small enough that they can really try to leverage all of the schools to offer some kind of personalization. So just from the United States Department of Education, there's a couple of things that they look at as the pace of the learning and the instructional approach and how they're optimized to meet each student's level where they're at. Because each person comes to school with their own strengths and opportunities for growth. And so what we're doing is we're trying to take a look at those particular students in our building and figure out opportunities that are offered in the state. And Barbara's going to talk about some of those opportunities momentarily, and what we can do with our current schedule. We have a team of people that are meeting. It's been a couple of different times now, and we're taking a look at literally our schedule and how we offer our classes at the same time to kind of match up with what we're offering for personalization. So one of the things we tried to look at, and when we thought about this, is what have we been doing over the last few years? Like what's been going on in the district and also smaller right within the building. So back in 2015, school year 2015, Dr. Humbert had worked. We were in the first class with the Fuse and the Highlander Institute, and we sat down with one of the Fuse fellows and we talked to them about what our needs were. And it was really the beginning of the technology committee was coming together on what we were doing with Chromebooks. We knew that was going to be a rollout. We were hoping anyway. And we really figured out, what do we need for the students and for the teachers as far as professional development. And so that small little meeting ended up kind of like really rippling out so that we had in school year 16 and in school year 17, at the very beginning of the year, we did this big Google forum, and we invited Jamestown to come over, and this year we did it again. So just in working with the Highlander Institute, they not only did that, we did the model classrooms, and you've heard about that from Dr. Humbert. Also, we had the technology of the student Chromebook rollout at the beginning of this year. And again, while everybody got their Chromebooks very quickly, it is also kind of been a nice organic, it's very organic how we're using it. It wasn't like we got to the classroom and then everybody was opening the Chromebook and for 7 periods, over 2 days they're using it. They're just making sure that it's a tool. It's a tool of how to get to personalization. And then teachers, union administration, that was the scheduling I'm just talking about right now. We've been meeting periodically, and hopefully at a future meeting you might hear something about that. And then finally, the whole thing really doesn't happen unless it's teacher facilitated. I was at with Dr. Auger today. We were in Charahoe, and there were a number of teachers and administrators from all over Rhode Island. They had gotten a grant from the Rhode Island Foundation, also working with Highlander Institute. And they, because of this grant, they had to share what they were doing. And one of the things was today was to share with us about different opportunities we can do within our classrooms, working together, doing some blended learning, and just making it happen. So really the teacher is a pivotal role to make sure that this personalization happens in the school. Our guidance department has worked on personalization a lot, and you may all be familiar with the personalized learning plan, the PLP we call it in education. So up until this time, we've used Way to Go Rhode Island, and we've used different worksheets that the students have worked on. The guidance counselors go into all the classrooms, and they work on different goals together. But there was nowhere, we don't have a learning system where we could just go into this one particular thing and find the learning plan. So over the summertime, we have lead tech teachers in each building. And our lead tech teacher, Mark DeLucia, wonderful, he worked with Cindy Norman to get together, and the other guidance counselors, and to create a Google Classroom for all of our students in the high school. So what they've done is they put these personalized learning plans in a Google Classroom so that each grade has it. There can be announcements that go out. And it just really is an opportunity for where students can individually put it there. We can have parents look at it. Teachers can go into it. So it's definitely a nice step, and it happened before the year even started. One of the things that is happening through the teaching and learning area at the high school is also scheduling options. And so exciting in the state of Rhode Island, and a lot of our high schools are doing it, is this advanced coursework network. So Barbara is going to talk a little bit about that, concurrent enrollment, dual enrollment, virtual high school, and the career and technical programs that we have at the high school in the next few slides, and what we're doing, what we did last year, and then where we are this year, and hopefully where we're ready to go.
So as we go through these, I will explain what they are. So the ACN, or the Advanced Coursework Network, is something that has just started this fall. Bride put this together. And the purpose of this is to offer advanced coursework classes to students that they wouldn't normally have the opportunity to take. And they put out a catalog. They take proposals from different vendors. So it could be anything from a marine education place in Massachusetts offering sailing courses, to AP work that would be traditional type classes. A lot of different colleges are participating. And the nice thing about this is, with the dual and concurrent enrollment, it has to be a public university or college, so CCRI, URI, RIC. With the ACN, it could be any college. So now we have Roger Williams University, we have Johnson & Wales, we have New England Tech. So it opens up a lot more college opportunities and expanded opportunities for students. So we have 6 students enrolled this year. And the courses they're taking, AP Chemistry, 2 of them are taking it at Classical High School. Law for Paralegals, Roger Williams University. Intro to Game Development, there's a student at New England Tech doing that. And there's a student taking AP European History.
Quick question?
Yes.
Now, are they doing that as a distance learning, or do they physically attend at those
Both.
schools? Both.
So some of them are face-to-face classes, and they meet on Saturdays or after school. So the AP Chemistry at Classical High School is a Saturday morning course. Some of the others, and Law for Paralegals is an online class offered through Roger Williams. So they do have different type formats. But the important thing to note is that even when it's an online class, it still involves a teacher. It's not just something where they log on and they do work. They're actually corresponding and communicating with other students and an instructor. Concurrent enrollment. So concurrent enrollment is when the course is taught on the high school campus by our teachers. So we have a lot of courses that we're offering in-house. And the students get high school credit and college credit for it. Some of these are in our CTE programs, and the students can apply for the credit. Most frequently, it's CCRI courses. We're also involved with a couple of Rhode Island College, and we are seeking to have URI courses in place for next year in computer science. So we had 70 students enrolled. Now, the enrollment in the actual courses is much larger than that. So we have about 380 students last year enrolled in those courses that were eligible for credit, but students don't seem to be actually making applications to the colleges to get that credit. So we're starting to explore that a little more and figure out what we can do to help the students make that step to get the college credit. So this year, we have 142 students enrolled, and many of the students are enrolled in multiple courses. So that's, you can see that's already a big increase. Those are actually kids who are putting in their college applications. Dual enrollment, on the other hand, is when the student goes to the college campus to take their course. So we have some students, last year we had 4 students enrolled. 2 of the students were full-time at the Running Start program at CCRI, and another student was full-time at Johnson & Wales. And the last dual enrollment, that only adds up to 3, as you can see, the last dual enrollment was a student who was taking a course on a college campus, but it was only one course. And that was a student taking Italian at CCRI. This year we have 5 students enrolled outside of the ACN program, and 3 of the ACN students, because it starts to get a little messy here. When students are in the ACN program, for instance, you saw that kids were taking New England Tech courses, so that's also considered dual enrollment, and it's in the advanced course network. So classifying students tends to get a little messy because then you have this, it becomes like a Venn diagram. You say, how many students do we actually have? Because some of them are cross-classified. So 3 of the ACN students are actually technically dual enrollment students also. Now the virtual high school is a high school, it's a fully online high school out of Maynard, Mass. It's been there a long time, I think probably about 20 years. And they offer seats for students that enroll in their courses. You can be a member high school. Usually the courses are very expensive. They're about $950 for a course for a student to take a full year course, $450 for a semester course. We are becoming a member school this spring, which means we have a teacher teaching a section. He's going to be teaching English this spring. That allows us to open up seats for students that they can take at a much reduced rate, of 50% of what it would cost to take a course. So the rate for the students in the non-member schools is $450 per course. That is actually per semester. So we get 25 seats for every course we offer, and since we have one section this spring, we'll have 25 seats we can offer to students. This has been a really popular option for the DA students, and because some of the students who are, for instance, hospitalized periodically, or students who have medical issues, or miss a lot of school, this allows them to have some continuity to their coursework. So it doesn't matter, because it's all online and they have the same instructor no matter where their location is. If they're in the hospital for 3 weeks and they're able to get online and able to communicate with the teacher, they can have their studies continue without having to have them feel like they're missing class or things are piling up back home. So this has been a really popular thing for DA students, and we're hoping to open it up to regular education students also. Career and technical programs, so these are our CTE programs, the one we have in engineering robotics and the business finance. So last year we had 273 students enrolled in the CTE courses. That, again, is the same thing as the advanced coursework. They're taking the courses, but they weren't making applications to the CTE program. So we started to track how many kids are in the courses, and do we suspect they think they're in the program because they're taking a series of courses, but they didn't actually put in their applications. So 24 of the 273 last year actually put in applications. We started tracking the kids through the guidance counselors and saying, you look like you're on the track, did you mean to be in the program? And we contacted the parents and said, you need to put in the application so that you can be part of this program. So this year we have 380 students enrolled in the CTE courses, and 52 students actually have their applications in. So we're getting more kids to take those courses, which is good because they're open to any student that wants to take them. We're also increasing the number of students in the CTE programs. There's also an opportunity for students in the engineering robotics. We're with Project Lead the Way courses. So there's a special certification because Project Lead the Way is working with the AP College Board. students can get a special endorsement if they take certain AP courses that align with the project either way. So that's a special endorsement they can get and put on their resume. The students in the business and finance have NAF certification, which is another, when the state of Rhode Island talks about developing pathways for students, they're talking about career, school-to-career type certifications and credentials that students don't necessarily have to go to college. They can if they want, but these credentials help them walk into an employer's office and say, I have these skills, I have these credentials, and this is the pathway I'd like to take. Yes?
I know that there were a couple of classrooms that were specially fitted out for these programs.
Yes.
What is your capacity in these programs? Is there a concern for capacity with the growth that you've seen?
Yes, there's a space concern. And we've been looking at spaces that we can kind of condense in some areas and expand in others, but we definitely, the room that we have that has all of the computers that have for the engineering and robotics, it's used every hour of the day. And we're outgrowing that space. The marketing, the business and finance was a little easier because we were able to, through that grant we got last year, to modify a lot of those classrooms. So our space there is pretty good, but the engineering is a concern. We are going to have to expand that as the program expands. We're going to have to move into another space. So program of studies.
So we are excited because we're transferring to an online format this year. I know normally we have a meeting and you get the book and it's done, it's printed once. And really what we're finding out this October, the Rhode Island Department of Education, they passed new regs, what's going to be happening in the high school. So we're still waiting for the board to let us know certain regs that we're going to have to do here at the high school. God bless you. So what we decided to do is to put it online this year and to make sure that it's very fluid. So it'll also, there's an area where you have to, as you're looking at the program of studies, you'll be able to see what exactly is a class that you need for graduation. That will be in the margin areas, and we'll be able to put in like different if something's an ACN course, if it's a dual card enrollment, we'll be able to put a lot of information into the program of studies for free that we don't have to pay extra to a printer to do. And we'll also have a very skeletal version of the printed one so that the parents will know where they can go to find all this information. But we really feel like as we go on and we get more educational regulations, we'll be able to take the program studies and update it regularly. So you'll be getting at a later meeting before that all the information of what we're changing. Because right now we're in the process of receiving from the department chairs any new classes that they want to do. We have a certain timeline that we go through. Another thing in the educational regulations are these new seals of biliteracy, or new different pathways that Barbara just talked about, but one of them that we're hoping to do right for this June is a seal of biliteracy. And so, again, Mark DeLucia, who I talked about, is the lead tech teacher. He's also the department chair for world languages, and he's working with our English language learner teacher, Patty Kerwin, and they are working together to get the seal of biliteracy on our diplomas for this June. And we have approximately about 50 students that are going to be able to do that. So he will be talking a lot more about this, but he said it was the second town in the state, but I have since talked to a couple of people, and I think Cumberland is doing it as well. So we're definitely going to have more to come at a future meeting regarding that particular pathway. And it's not just for students that are English language learners and then they take another language in high school, but you could have been a heritage language, came in with Spanish, or you could come here from Portugal, and then you take our English classes. So you have to take some kind of a class, get that certification, and then you get the seal of biliteracy. So Mark will talk more about that in January. And then finally, just to put it all together, I really can't thank North Kingstown enough. I feel like we have a lot of support so that we can help each of the students achieve their personalization and working with the teachers. And the tools that we have this year, facilitating all this in the classroom. So I'm not sure whether or not you have any questions, but
I just have one question. Going back to the virtual classroom and the fact that we now are going to have 25 seats in that, and Dr. Morse, you talked about how Davisville has used some of those seats for children who are hospitalized or can't get to school. that's something I see increasing, and people wanting to participate in that. Do you guys have a plan, if you have more than 25 students interested in attending that virtual learning environment, and how will you figure out, how do we deal with, if you say you have 50 students that want to participate in that program?
I don't anticipate that we're going to have 50 this spring, but this spring will give us a good opportunity to see how many students are going to engage in that type of learning. And we can always open up more seats next year if we have more participation. In other words, I will look at my staffing to see where we might be able to dedicate another teacher to another section, and it doesn't have to be in the English department, it could be in another department. Some departments are a little tight, some departments are easier to free up a teacher to do that kind of thing.
Now, is it a licensing arrangement per seat? I know Mr. Jones is a big proponent on the virtual classroom, so, that's why I'm kind of posing it, because I see this being something that all these students, once they figure it out, are really going to want to participate in.
It's actually an exchange kind of thing, and the reason why it's 25 is because that's a normal-sized classroom.
Okay.
So instead of a teacher having 25 of our students in front of him, he's assigned 25 students. They all go into the big pool, the virtual high school.
Sure.
And the 25 students that he is assigned can come from all over all over the world. And in exchange, our 25 students don't have to be in that English class. They can be taking any class that's
And that was the 150 different options that they had. Okay.
So basically what we do is we base everything on demand whenever we do it. So if there's a high demand in one program and there's a low demand in another, we start having to make the hard decisions. And that's really what...
I see this, once people catch on to it, that this is going to be a really big thing for the school district.
It is, but it's also, we already in North Kingstown are very lucky to have a huge course offering just in the traditional courses that we assign. And part of that is because of our size. With 1,400 kids, you can provide a lot of options and always know that you're probably going to get about 15 to 20 students who want to take just about everything you offer. Whereas if you have a high school with 400 or 500 kids, you may offer all the same things, but many of them get 7 or 8 kids signed up. You can't run the course. So we have that, but this really helps the kids who, because they absolutely have to have a band and they absolutely have to have AP, this particular topic, and now there's a scheduling conflict to not get everything they want in. That's the kind of student that would be attracted to it. It wouldn't, so I don't think you're going to see, the entire senior class wanting to do this, because they have
No, but
everything
I think
that
you're
they
going to
need.
see
Yeah.
an uptick in more than 25 students.
Right. So we're just going to kind of keep an eye on that, and if it needs to
Boys, can I
expand,
ask you a question? Would you prefer to take a virtual class, or do you like to sit in front of the teachers and have discussions?
I think it would depend on what class it is, because I know with at least the science classes, I'd rather be there receiving. I mean, in my engineering class, one of the classes you're talking about, I think, is the concurrent enrollment class. We've been taught about teaching styles and learning styles, and I think it really depends on a student's learning style. So if a student's more of a visual learner, then I think they'll be more inclined to take these classes.
I tend to agree. I haven't taken dual enrollment or anything like that, but I just think there's something about, I think it depends on who you are. I think some people can work really well in a classroom setting. I think I do fairly well in a classroom setting, but I know there's also a lot of people that probably have trouble focusing for an hour and a half on end in a class, and having a virtual learning where they can stop and take a break if they need to might be good for some people. So I think although it might not be something that's the best for me, I think for a lot of people it would make it a lot better experience.
Great answers.
I always love having them.
One of the things I wanted to add just a little bit about the new online program of studies. I love it when we have student involvement, and so I didn't want to just take the program of studies format that we had and digitalize it and put it up there. So the format is going to change, but we're also working with the communication students and some of the technology students, and we're going to try to make it a little bit at a time interactive. So you'd be able to go on into the program of studies and maybe see a course in business finance and say, that sounds interesting, but I'm not sure what that's about just by the description. And you'd be able to click on it, and there'd be a short video presentation showing class activities and things going on. So a little bit more informative and interactive. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to go online format.
Great idea. Anyone have any other questions? Thank you, ladies, very much. Very informative.
Before you go forward, I do have another item of recognition.
Okay.
Which is, tonight is your last meeting.
Oh, here we go.
And we all want to thank you for being our chairperson for the past few years and for your 4 years of service in North Kingstown School Committee.
All four.
All four.
Yes.
4 years of service on the school committee, and we'd like to offer you a fabulous party in the spirit of the president.
Wow. Thank you,
So
guys.
thank you very much.
I guess I open this afterwards.
We'll do it afterwards. And congratulations on your transition into life as a private citizen.
You know, I have to say, this has been an incredible experience. And when I first started, I was working part-time. I had 2 young kids at Hamilton. I have twins. And I wanted to get involved. And then guess what? I got the big full-time job. Now I got 2 kids in 2 different high schools in 2 different towns. And the time constraint, as all of you know, I can't do it all. And as my husband said, you have to eliminate some toppings on your pizza. Because you have way too many toppings on your pizza. And so I've thoroughly enjoyed this and I gave it a lot of thought. If I should run again, I think it was just time for me to step down. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, that's enough. Thank you, ladies, for your incredible presentation. Now I got to get my daughter involved in all those personalized learning things. Okay, so I can say that we didn't have executive committee meeting tonight, so there were no seal of approval of the minutes and no disclosure of votes. Oh, which I didn't see, okay. And I was, okay, but I need to abstain because I wasn't there.
Okay.
So, can I have a, can we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to vote.
You have a quorum.
Yeah, and
Yeah, we have a quorum, because I have to abstain. So can I have a motion to approve the executive session minutes of November 1, 2016?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the business meeting minutes of November 1, 2016?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, are there any exemptions to the consent agenda? Can I have a motion to approve all items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So now we're going to move to the school committee resolution regarding the charter schools. Dr. Ogier, I know we have some correspondence. Well, that's what was printed out in the email you sent.
Actually,
It's these.
So, yes, this correspondence is to the Board of Regents, and, it involves the request from the Green School for expansion. The Green School is a charter school in Washington County or South County, and currently has 8 residents of North Kingstown who attend that school. The other school that is looking for a renewal is the Compass School. And the Compass School currently has 37 students who are North Kingstown residents. And on this letter to the Board of Regents, the request is for a conditional renewal. And if I can explain what I mean by that. The Compass School is situated right along the South Kingstown, North Kingstown border, which is a very affluent part of not only South County, but of Rhode Island. It's probably one of the most affluent sets of neighborhoods when you combine the neighborhoods surrounding it in Narragansett, in South Kingstown, North Kingstown, and Charlestown, and Exeter. So, so what essentially has occurred is, when people think of charter schools, they think of an opportunity, a taxpayer-funded opportunity for someone who may be in a school system that is not performing so well, and they feel that maybe there should be some alternatives that people can try out, and we could learn from those alternatives, and maybe we would all get better. If you saw some of the ads, for instance, with the charter school question in Massachusetts, that's Governor Baker in Massachusetts was talking about, and a lot of kids, they don't have a local school that is a very high-performing one, and they need an alternative. And that's kind of the pitch you will get from charters. And in cases where you are in a low-income area or a high urban area where there may not be schools that are performing so well, I think just about anybody can see the point in that. In the Saunderstown area of Rhode Island, that is not the case. And Compass is a great example of this. When you take the population of Compass, it is nearly the same as Barrington and East Greenwich in terms of the socioeconomic status of the families and students that go there. And we measure that by the number of students who are eligible for free and reduced lunch. So the only two districts in the state that have a single digit for the percentage of kids with free and reduced lunch is Barrington and East Greenwich, both currently, at the latest statistics, say about 6%. The North Kingstown School Department as a whole is roughly 20%. And that's also similar for some of the surrounding districts. But if you just took the small slice of North Kingstown that's in the southernmost part, it probably is a single digit. Okay. So what essentially is happening is that Compass at 9% free and reduced lunch is a school not for students who need an alternative. Those students are doing well, and they have all high-performing schools around them. Just this fall in South Kingstown, Peacedale Elementary School, I believe, from South Kingstown, is a Blue Ribbon School. Recently, Stony Lane has been a Blue Ribbon School. Charlestown Elementary has been commended. Hamilton Elementary has been commended. The Compass Charter School is surrounded with schools who have received the highest honors from the Department of Education and from the federal government for their performance, for parent satisfaction, for everything going well. These are not students who need a taxpayer-funded alternative to their schools. So in the case of the Compass School, my request to the committee is to put your names on this resolution to the Board of Regents to ask that the renewal be conditional, that they put some conditions that Compass do more of a job to reach out to a lower income population to make it so that their population, at the very least, reflect similar demographics to the communities that they serve, and that they also serve outside of Washington County. It is not necessarily in their interest, because of busing costs and that sort of thing, to go far beyond the local communities that are right near it. But probably the best thing that could be done is for a place like Compass School to accept students from Providence or more urban areas where it's lower income, to give them exactly that alternative. And in the case of the Green School, where again this is a high school now, the alternatives are places like North Kingstown High School, Narragansett, South Kingstown, Charahoe, Exeter, West Greenwich, all very strong high schools relative to the rest of the state. Not so much of a need for an alternative for any student to have another taxpayer-funded high school choice. So in this case, I would say, that the difference here, the North Kingstown School Department is spending about $88,000 to send students to the Green School, and I don't know why we are doing that. They don't need an alternative high school, in my opinion. And in the case of the Compass School, the North Kingstown School Department is currently spending about $409,000. Those same students at the Green School could be taken into the high school at zero expense. We have all the classes they need. We need to incorporate 8 more students. If I had 8 more students enrolled tomorrow, I would not need to come to the school committee to ask you for another teacher or TAs or anything. We have the staff and the infrastructure ready to go. In the case of the 37 students at Compass, it's likely that we would probably need another teacher and a TA to help us district-wide. It's hard to say where all the students would kind of come in. Probably the majority of them would be between Hamilton and Stony Lane. But even at that expense, that's roughly $117,000. So the difference is $292,000. So it's $292,000 that we are spending to educate these 37 students that we would not have to spend if those same students were in the North Kingstown School Department going to commended and blue ribbon schools. So that they lose nothing. And that $292,000 could then be either, less in taxes that North Kingstown residents need to pay, or, more in resources, which we desperately need, for all kinds of reasons that often come up at this table, capital, staffing, you name it, we could use it. So it really takes away from, those 95% of the North Kingstown students that do attend North Kingstown Public Schools, and takes an inordinate amount of funding away from them to help very few students who really do not need another option, in my opinion. So those are the resolutions we're asking for. Those items are up for renewal from the Board of Regents on December 5th, and that is the night of our next meeting. So this is something that would need to be done at this meeting, or have a special meeting if we want to do it tonight. If there are any questions.
When I was trying to choose a high school, I went and shadowed at LaSalle and Henderson and some other schools and some charter schools like Compass School. And I definitely realized that from going to those schools and going to North Kingstown to shadow, that there really wasn't much of a difference. And I totally agree with you. There's no reason to be spending this amount of money, and we can be using it further.
In the cases of Hendricken and LaSalle, those are private schools, and that's not something that the taxpayers in North Kingstown would have to pay for you to go there. That to me is a different story.
Okay.
But in the case of the Green School, that is, the same funding that we need for the school department. Now we need to take a section of that and send it to another place where we really, in my opinion, again, don't really need to. It's not all that different a learning experience to the point where someone desperately needs a difference. We just talked about all the personalization options at the high school, and the very point of that is that if you are a learner who learns a little bit differently, we're going to find a way to accommodate you at North Kingstown High School. You don't need to take all of that funding with you and go to a whole different place and incur transportation expenses and everything else that's involved.
I'd also like to add that, nearly $300,000 is a lot of money.
Sure.
That could be stretched so far in this district.
If you take both of these together, it's about $400,000 in money that we would not need to spend. If you take all of our charter expenses taken in, our biggest number is for Kingston Hill. They're not on the Board of Regents.
It's over $1 million, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about $1.2 million. And to educate the same kids, we would probably need to spend about a quarter of that.
Right.
So that means around $900,000 of money that, is really questionable in terms that we should really need to be spending that money. We could educate the same students for about $300,000. So it's, this is a topic that we have come to many, many times. And Mr. Jones, wasn't able to be here tonight, is very passionate about it as well. And, I don't know if this is going to mean a whole lot to the Board of Regents, but I think it's important that we let our opinion be known.
I agree. I think we've vetted this over and over, and as you said, this is one of Mr. Jones's big deals, and I think that, it's something that we need to take steps in this direction, to just at least get our voice out. So that being said, can I have a motion to approve the school committee charter school resolutions?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And I look forward to putting my signature on those letters at the end of the meeting. Or now.
I think we're there.
If the
I
case
don't know if you want to open the meeting or...
Well, let's see, Mrs. King, one last issue here. Do you have anything to report for the 2016-17 school budget?
I do not.
Okay. In closing, the only thing I would like to say is, just because I didn't run for re-election does not mean you won't be seeing me, and that I'm stepping down from anything involved in the town of North Kingstown. I will be very involved and be following the new school committee makeup, and you never know what I'll do in the future in another couple of years.
So submit it via app or a request.
So good luck, everyone, and I hope that I contributed in some respect to the school department over the last 4 years. So onward and upward, and I look forward to seeing how you five are going to continue with the legacy. Good luck. You're going to need it. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'm doing it again.
Thank you, everybody.
Because I didn't do that for 4 years.
You
And
didn't
now I
have to
would
do
like
it.
to sign
You didn't
the